feet and vibe with me, Kiki.
That someone, you know, who knew how hard I was grinding, who knew that I wanted to make a transition, literally like made a call at his job, set the interview up, and boom, I got the job.
Whoa, y'all ready for it? Welcome to episode number 37 of She Thought She Could podcast. I am excited to share with you an interview from Kiki and me. And I know that's not grammatically correct, but it sounded cute. Success is a journey. So this is a repurposed, reframed, realigned, is a do-over. It is not a do-over, because we didn't re-record, but I am re-releasing this into the atmosphere. Key was my first guest on the podcast, and so that was 27 episodes ago, last March actually. And so this month I'm going to do a little mix-up as it relates to featuring some women. There are a few awesome interviews that I just want to replay. I know that there are new listeners since then. I know some of you may have missed the episode, or some of you who came on to the tribe later on, maybe you didn't get a chance to go back and binge listen to all the episodes. So I am going to bring you back some greatness. And so without further ado, here it is. Enjoy this interview. Enjoy the gems that are dropped. Get your pencil, because when I tell you nuggets where it drops, you need sweet and sour sauce, honey mustard, ranch, all of that, because this episode was amazing. So
personality stuff. Tell us about you. Absolutely, Miss Tabitha. So first I want to say thanks again for definitely having me on your show. It's an honor, a privilege, and I don't think I've shared this with you, but I already knew about your name before I even connected with you, because I know so many people that go to CCU. And so for some reason, I guess you popped up in positive conversation. So I just wanted to let you know, even though I'm low-key, the person who remembers everything about everybody. So,
wow.
So that would be one thing about me, is that, I'm really a big people person, and I don't forget anything that people tell me about people. Do I forget where I put my keys 5 seconds ago? Absolutely. But really what even guided me towards, being an advocate and leader for young melanated professionals is my ability to connect with people and remember a lot of things about them. So, for everybody who's listening, my name's Keiona, and you guys can feel free to call me Kiki. Let's make it personal. And I'm from a really, really big town called Cross, South Carolina. Do you know what Cross is?
Cross is small, guys. It's really small.
It's big in my head.
It's really small. But in your head, I get you. I think because everyone knows everyone, it could be considered a big town. I got it.
Yeah. No, guys, I'm really, she's serious. It's absolutely a small town. I grew up, pretty much living in a little triangle of my family. So my aunt lived in front of me, my grandma lived next door. And that's kind of a lot of people live in the country. Kind of like these little villages, right? So growing up, I was a 90s kid, born in 1990, and I really just had an amazing childhood. I had cousins, we explored our forest behind our homes, we played outside all day long till somebody told us to come inside. And really, my childhood, I feel like I was the most bold child, didn't care, and I really hope to get back to that same fearless place that I was as a child. So great childhood growing up. I like to think my life was super perfect, probably till about 6th grade. At 6th grade, my whole family dynamics changed. So I account that period from being 12 years old to when I was 17 of being a real upside down flip. We had to basically rearrange our whole family arrangement, and I kind of had to grow up. So, that didn't deter me. I kept my academics up. I was headstrong about going to Clemson, go Tigers, and eventually got accepted and moved on from graduating with 59 students to graduating with over 300 students at Clemson. It was also an experience. Clemson, I got really involved. I was determined to be the small town girl who made it, right? And do as many things as possible. And to show other people it's possible. You could be from somewhere as small as Cross, and you can do extraordinary things. So Clemson, I got really involved, automatically joined the orientation team, so I wanted to welcome new students. joined the Minority Recruitment Task Force, and then I also played Delta when I was a freshman. So I immediately became that Delta on campus for like the next 4 years. Unfortunately. Wow. Yeah, the last year I had to hide. The last year I hid, I was working at Chipotle. So if you didn't come to Chipotle, you didn't see me. But it was amazing. Yeah, man, it was an amazing 4.5 years at Clemson. I graduated with a management degree and was like, what's next? I actually went into Clemson as a secondary mathematics teaching major because I always wanted to be a math teacher. Me and math fell out, and I made the transition to business because I was very much a leader. I love leading people, and I love helping people. So I thought HR was going to be the place for me. I transitioned from Clemson, started working for Sherwin-Williams, left Sherwin-Williams, went on the Continental Tire with my quote-unquote first big girl job. That job moved me from Greenville, South Carolina, up to Boston, Massachusetts. I absolutely love Boston. Yeah, I know. I went from the extreme country to one of the busiest cities in the country. It really grew up. Yeah. And I count Boston to a point where I really started to discover who I really was. And then I was working hard. I was exposed to a lot of great people, and I had the opportunity to move to Arizona for a promotion. Moved here for my promotion, absolutely hated my job, and after a year working in that position, I quit. So here we are today, about a year and a month later from me quitting my first job that moved me here. I now work at Arizona State University as an enrollment advisor for online students. Kind of really going back to what I even went to school for, the HR, the management, and I have an education minor. And I'm just really excited to continue to see exactly where life goes. It's funny, we think we have a plan. I was always the girl with a plan, and then God will laugh at your plan and show you other things that your life is supposed to be. So that's me.
Wow, Keiona, what a story, and it's so crazy. Two small town girls, sitting here, podcasting it up and chatting it up and just living life. And I was a planner too, and I still try to be, but God laughs at my plans each and every time, just like He does with you. I think I have it figured out, and then I'm like, oh, never mind. There's some other similarities. I had to grow up quick too. I grew up in a close knit family, and then I moved to New Jersey. My parents got married. It was great. Everything was awesome. And then my mom got diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia, so we had to move back to South Carolina, and life just got real. So I've been an adult for so long that I feel that sometime around 40, I'll start going backwards and be like a kid again or something.
That old lady in the club, dribbling like it's hot.
Yeah, and maybe not even just maybe not the club scene, because I definitely hit the club, but that just the joy of youthfulness and carefree and stuff like that. I feel like I was robbed a little bit of that, but I appreciate it because I'm stronger and I manage things really well. But there's a piece of me that's like, I think I might just go to the trampoline park for my 27th birthday or something. I don't know.
Absolutely.
But
Tabitha, yeah. Real quick, what part of Jersey did you move to?
Trenton,
Jersey. Okay, and the only reason why I asked that is because that's going to be another similarity. So I attribute a lot of my childhood and upbringing to Jersey. My grandmother and my uncle lived there.
Wow.
And my grandmother lives in Irvington. My mom was born in Jersey. My uncle, he lived in South Jersey. So every summer they'd come pick me up, take me to Jersey, and I'd have my city girl runs where I had to buy a calling card to call all my friends back at home and write letters to everybody in the South. So that's crazy.
There's so much overlap. You really never know until you start talking to people. There's so much overlap. I love it. So tell me about, when did you launch New Geechee and what ignited you to start that and how did you even kind of get into that? So tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So for those of you listening, I'll give you an overview about what New Geechee is. So New Geechee is really a platform that I created that is supposed to supply young melanated professionals, which I call YMPs, with motivation, inspiration, and positive vibes that are necessary for us to live out our best YMP lives. And so really it's just me channeling all this energy that I've always had for people of my peer group and people that I want to see do better, and go to the greatest goals that they have for their life. And it's really just to kind of give them an outlet to learn from others that are just like themselves and kind of let you know, like, you can do what they did too, so here are the tools. So just to kind of take it back, you know, I started out in education, and in college I was a leader, and I didn't have any idea, like, really what I wanted to do at the end of the day. So I graduated, and I had to have a plan, so I jumped into a job and was like, I'll figure it out as I'm going. And I think that's important too. When you don't know what you want to do, you do need to try things, because that's the only way you're going to learn, by trial and error. Just like doing scientific experiments. You have to try it to know what the outcome is going to be. So, I moved to Boston. I'm exploring myself. I'm exploring this new city, and I'm like channeling like this new fearless, bold Keiona who wants to be all she can be and is getting all this inspiration from people left and right. Boston was a very enchanting city for me. And so one day I had a conversation with some bros. Shout out to the bros. We were all sitting, drinking, talking about life, because they have the deepest conversations over drinks for some reason. And we were talking, and we were talking about like how when people are not happy with their jobs or their life, how they should maybe, you know, think of ways out, like how to change your life. So one bro in particular was like, yo, like if you ever feel like you don't like your job, like stack your bread and quit. At the time, I loved my job, and I was like, I would never do that. Like, who gonna just quit their job and not have no money, right? So that stuck with me. And then in that same conversation, he said to me, he said, Keiona, you have a radio voice. And I was like, okay. Like, I've never heard nothing like that before, but I appreciate it, bro. Carried and held on to that, not really thinking about what it would lead to today. So that's like 2015. I moved to Boston. I moved from Boston to Arizona. And then, I turned 26. Now, 25 was when I had like this, oh my God, I'm having a meltdown. I can't believe I'm getting so old. I was like, everybody please buy me, house dresses and flowers. And like, I was like becoming this old lady. Wow. So with 26 came, I was like, I'm not doing what I did at 25. I'm about to like celebrate real big. And I did. But it was something even at me saying like, Keiona, like you're doing great. You just moved again, but this is not why God put you on this earth. So don't get too comfortable. So my spirit was just stirring with me. 26, you know, I'm saying, God, please show me like, you know, how I might be able to make a difference in people's lives. And I'm asking people like, what would you see me doing? And people are like, you know, I could actually see you like in the entertainment industry. And I'm like, you know, that's crazy. Somebody told me they thought I had a radio voice. So all these dots are connecting. And I'm meeting all these people who are disc jockeys over the radio, and people who are doing all those different things. And I had a conversation with my line sister, and she said, you know, you should think about starting a podcast. And I was like, a what? I didn't even know what a podcast was. And this is 2016. This is May 2016. I didn't know what a podcast was. I was like, okay. So I just started digging, and I just committed to the idea of like, this free thing that I can do over the internet that might be a stepping stone for me to launch a career maybe in radio in the future is what I'm going to commit to right now. I had a problem with like committing to goals and sticking with them. So this was like my big commitment at 26. So from May to October, honey, you should have seen me. I was in the car recording, like, what am I going to talk about? Who am I going to address? I'm in the car. I'm recording little videos. And then I have a friend who also was kind of like getting ready to start a podcast. Shout out to Jasmine Hill, the Fear Hurdler. And she was like, you ain't dropped yet. Like, it's October. Like, I said I was going to do this in May. I was like, Jazz, like, I can't get the episode right. Like, I don't know what to do. And she was like, girl, if you don't record 3 episodes and pick one and go. And I had been hung up on this, like, it being super perfect. And I want people that are listening to know, like, don't strive for perfection, strive for progress. And that's what I did. One day I blindly was like, we just gonna go for it. Tomorrow's the day. I dropped it. I was like, you know what? If I get 100 listens by the end of October, not by October, by December, then I'm cool. Like, I feel like I accomplished my goal. By the end of the day, which was October 5th when I launched, I had over 300 listens on my first episode.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, how did this happen? And from there, New Geechee was born. It started off from just being that podcast concept to really want to highlight people, so I do a highlight of YMP of the week. I just recently started writing blogs, and really I'm this year focusing heavily on collaborating with other YMPs because I want to see us all get to where we want to be. So, thank you for the opportunity to also collaborate with you. You know,
yes, awesome. See, look at her.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going on. I'm one of those people.
No,
like, I got to tell you the backstory first.
right. Speed up, get us there, and I love that about you. I love when people go into details because, I mean, you don't know who's listening and people don't know you, and so you have to give that backstory so that there's some substance and it shows the journey, because life isn't, about destinations. It's about journeys and processes and things like that. And a lot of times people that tune in are, waiting on starting their dreams or thinking about starting something, and I tell them the same thing, don't wait on perfection. It's never going to be perfect.
No.
If you look at, people will be like, I'm just waiting on somebody to perfect my logo. I'm like, wow, you'll change it 10 times in the next 2 years. Like, just, get started. You're not going to have the perfect pictures. Your brand isn't going to look amazing. You aren't some, multimillionaire yet, so you can't pay for all the things they can pay for, but just get started. So this is awesome. This is so awesome. So
Amen.
now we're gonna pretend that I have this tiny tad time machine, because in my head I think I have it. And if you could live in any other decade, which one would it be? And then there's a second part of that. What female figures of that time kind of resonate with your spirit?
Man, so I've been thinking about this all day long. Like, everybody, and you know what? I've been listening to all your Millennial Magic on Monday, and I hear everybody saying the 90s, and I'm like, the 90s was lit. That I know. But for myself, especially in the space that I'm in right now, I'm definitely going back to the 60s.
Come on, civil rights.
Yeah. I think that is such an important time. And if we can be honest, this month of Black History Month, I've been trying to really indulge in a lot of history. So I just recently watched the documentary of Khalid Browder, which took my spirit all the way to a whole different place. I'm reading Assata Shakur's autobiography. And really just to see the power that was in that period when the world was just in a real crazy place. Like, everybody was getting assassinated, from J.F. Kennedy to Martin Luther King. You have the creation of the Black Panther movement. It's just like so many really important things I feel like happened in the 60s. So many disheartening yet uncomfortable progressive things happened in that period. You get the passing of these different laws in the 60s. Voting right. So I just feel like the 60s, I would be so intrigued to maybe just go back there and see what was going on and actually be a person trying to work towards a goal. Like, there's so many things that we have now, but I feel like, I don't know if they felt the same way in the 60s, but I feel like it's so hard to get people out of their comfort of feeling like we've made so much progress.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So I would be so curious to see when everybody didn't have rights, when you were definitely getting treated wrong because you were sitting at the black table. How did people navigate in that space, and how I could also be an advocate. And one of the women, I already mentioned, Assata Shakur, for some reason I feel like she's my homegirl. She actually got stopped on she got stopped on the New Jersey Turnpike. That pretty much turned this whole situation. And just to know that she's chill, we don't know that she's chilling in Cuba. We do know she is in Cuba.
Right.
It's wow. Angela Davis is another one who always stood out to me. And I got to see her before I leave the West Coast. Ruby Bridges, I realized that she integrated schools back then, and she's still alive. But to know what it was like to be that little girl, we see the videos, but she was very impactful. And then you have my soror Shirley Chisholm. That's when she was going in. She got elected to the House of Representatives. So those are some of the women that kind of stand out to me during that period.
Wow, that's an awesome one. That's a great one, and I often ask myself, if I was alive back then, like, would I be like ironing clothes and in the background, or would I be like on the front lines? Like, where would I be? What would my role look like? What would I be trying to like empower people to do, or would I just be one of the people that's like, y'all, let's just leave it like it is. You just never know how you would be, because we don't know what that's like. So,
absolutely.
And I don't know how it is in Cross, but sometimes here in Lakeview, the racial tension gets so real that I think I might be living in a splash of it sometimes. But
wow,
yeah, it's definitely really interesting, especially you say how Boston just liberated you and helped you find yourself. That's how South Florida was for me. Like I moved to South Florida shortly after coastal, and I mean, my whole life changed. It was just so amazing. I saw the world through a different light. I saw my future and my perspective of just things in general in such a different way. It was just awesome. So another thing I'm encouraging you listeners to do is take a leap of faith and move. If it's with your job, if it's for grad school, if it's just because you decide to do it. If you're thinking about it and you can do it, take the leap of faith and move out of your comfort zone. I promise you'll be a totally different person.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what's funny? Like, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was
just going to say, when I was working at Sherwin-Williams, I got to a place where I was like, I know I need to move. I need to move from South Carolina. And I didn't know what that looked like, where I was going, how it was going to happen, but I just put it out there every day. And eventually what will happen is God will show you the exact path. I would have never imagined that I would have had the opportunity that I did have with my last company. And it just worked out. Every day I was applying to all these other minuscule jobs that really didn't even have half of what that job offered me. And then finally it opened up that someone, who knew how hard I was grinding, who knew that I wanted to make a transition, literally like made a call at his job, set the interview up, and boom, I got the job. So just be so intentional and just really concentrate your thoughts on what it is that you want to do. The law of attraction is so real. When you set your mind on something, you can make it happen. Trust me.
No, this is real, y'all. This is good. This is good. So we're getting back in the time machine, and we're gonna like fast forward from the 60s, and we're gonna actually go to where we at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So we're gonna go to 22. And where do you see yourself, as a planner, and then also very faith-based, so, knowing that God has control, but in your, thoughts right now, where do you even see yourself, in a few years? Like, what do you see yourself doing or working on, or, what do you see?
Absolutely. This year, I really decided to, like, last year was like, pick a leap and make it happen. This year is like you learn a lot of different things from your mistakes. So what can we do to build stronger foundations, to build up towards that next set of 5 years? And what does that look like? So I'm 28. I'll be 28 this year, and that means I'll be the big 32. I'm excited. I'm excited to be 30. This 28, 29, this is boring. I'm ready to be in my 30s. But really, what I would love to see happening is that, the things that I'm doing, they change. You evolve as a person, you find new strengths. Like I was adamant once I started the podcast that I wasn't going to blog, but then I realized like, you actually really love writing. You've always loved to write. So why would you not do that? So here I go now into the blog space, and it's like, you never know what's going to happen the next year. So I'm hoping that within 5 years, I will have, a really strong hold on my talents that I do have, being consistent through these next set of years and having the foundation to like really make a strong presence. I would love to see Mugichi go to new heights, giving out big scholarship opportunities for students, because that's really important to me, and just making sure that we share the narrative that young melanated professionals are productive citizens of our society. And as we see people go through these depressing states or comparative states, I want them to know, like, you can do it too. And then I also want to be like, here is a very tangible resource. Here is a workshop. Here is something that here is a retreat that you can come and be with other people. So I want to see this thing be bigger than I ever imagined. And I know, like, I've asked this question to people too, and they're like, man, I want to be retired. I already know, like, I'm a worker. Like, I cannot sit down. When I was unemployed, I was still getting up 5 o'clock in the morning and working until I fell asleep with my clothes on and the lights on. Yeah. Not that I want to work my whole life, but I'm saying, like, that's my spirit, and I know there's so much work to be done. So I see myself hopefully being in a more financial state and working towards my financial freedom and being able to help people on a larger platform.
Yes,
I'm just curious to see what's going to happen. Hopefully I find my little life partner by then, you know what I'm saying, so we can take over the world together. But I'm not in the rush for that because I do want to be a mother someday. So,
oh, wow,
yeah,
that's beautiful. Yes, I love it. And I love how you were just strategic in how you explained that. It was very, very practical in saying, I'm just going to keep being consistent. Consistency compounds, and New Geechee will be at bigger heights and where you want it to be just simply because of consistency. So many times we just give up because we don't see the results that we, want overnight, and it's not overnight. You work years and years to be an overnight wonder. So,
absolutely. That's right.
That's just how it works. And that's beautiful that you want to be like a mom. I don't see the mom thing in my future. I love being a mentor mom and a big sister and all that, but I really don't see the whole mommy thing in my future. But you never know what God has in store.
Absolutely. You better not, I'm not going to say knock on wood, but we just never know how this whole thing will go.
Right. Yeah, you never know.
Tell me. Yeah, no. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I was like, oh, by the time I'm 28, baby, I'm really popping. I'm already working on my first kid. I'm going to have a house.
Oh, my goodness.
And I have none of those things that I just mentioned. However, I'm happy, and I know that if I just keep doing what I'm doing, like, all that stuff is going to come in due time. Like, when it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen.
That's very true. That's so that's cool, and I think that's just such a female thing too, because but it's so crazy. I don't know if sometimes I do get the person I'm like, wow, I should be here, but I'm here, but I don't manifest in it only because I don't know if I really had concrete dreams. I knew I wanted to be successful, and I saw myself on computers and on planes and doing things, but I never really saw what that looked like or what age I would have this or that, and I never wanted to be married or have kids. So I don't know how. I don't know what to think sometimes about my life, what in the world I have going on right now. But it's all working out, and it seems to be going, well. And so it is what it is, and whatever happens, happens. God is really has me in His hands, and He's kind of curating what the future will look like. So I'm just riding a wave right now. That's what I'm doing.
I'm gonna tell you this because I know that you are in a very transitional pace because I've been listening to your episodes and all your content. And I just know that you know this probably from when you were young, and I know this from that growing up age as well, is that challenge will help to build character. So because you have such a strong desire to be someone on a larger platform, God has to build us up to that point. I often think, am I ready? If everything popped, and I said this on another show that I was on, if everything popped off today, would I be ready? I don't know. I don't know if I would be ready to handle all those things. So I'm glad that God has given me all of these lessons, whether it be financial, personal, spiritual, relationships, networking-wise, occupational. All of these things are going to make sense in the end. Because if I was going to read a story about my life, I wanted to be ooh, dang, that's actually pretty dope. I don't want it to be I was born, my childhood was great, I went to college, I graduated, I got a job, I had a family, the end. That's not that I'm invoking that you should have tragedy, but even Asada Shakur said in this book, she said that Black people represented such a beautiful struggle.
Yeah.
Even though it's struggle, it's something very beautiful about that because it just breeds so many beautiful things from those experiences. So keep your head up and just know that when this, I know you have a book out now, but when you write this book from when you were sitting in Jamaica on vacation later on in life, you'll be like, all of that happened because I needed to tell that and inspire those people. Absolutely.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, that's okay. Drops mic. I mean, I don't even know if I want to ask the last question. You are killing it right now. I mean, and that's just a word in itself. I mean, you find so much strength in the struggle, and it's like this is preparation. You know, this is just preparation, and this is the time to, you know, just get built for whatever is next. And looking back, I'm like, if I could get through all of that as a kid, you know, as an adult, come on, life, keep throwing curveballs and I'm going to keep hitting home runs, okay? Like, as many times as you want me to prove it, God, I got you. All right, so we're back in the time machine. I really love this whole time machine thing. So we're back in the time machine, and we're going backwards again to, like, you know, the new millennium, somewhere up in there, you know, the 2000s, and we are talking to the teenage you. What in the world would you tell yourself? And this question kind of stems from the fact that, like, I am so gung-ho on mentoring matters. And I used to start with people who were, like, 18, 19, and I was mentoring people as freshmen in college. And then I got swindled into these high school kids, and I didn't think I was prepared, but somehow, you know, God, you know, He's doing a new thing in me and you know, getting me in some lives of some young people. And I mean, it's amazing because, you know, they're from small towns like we are, and they, you know, the exposure piece is lacking. And so, to be able to help them cultivate their dreams and to know about things, you know, they'll know what a podcast is because I have one. So they won't be, you know, they won't be like, you know, they won't be like me, you know, just like, what is that? Or looking lost. They'll be introduced to some things, you know, early on so they can kind of make some decisions. I was, you know, blessed. I work right now. Most of my students, they will be first generation when they do get to college. I'm not first generation, but I have a very strong passion for first generation students because I realize and recognize the struggle in just being the first. That is such a pillar. And as we, you know, journey through the end of Black History Month and stem into Women's History Month, I try to teach them, you know, about the rich history that, you know, people of color and women have in this country and try to, you know, help them get there. So I'm going to need some advice from you as to what you would tell. What in the world would you tell your teenage self if you could go back and have a conversation with that teenager? What would you say to yourself?
You know what? Let me pull up Facebook and look at a little picture of myself so I can channel that space in my life. Cause it was a lot of things. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, like from 12 to 17, like I didn't live with my mom anymore. And so, growing up really fast, I will say that I had my head on straight. And the only reason why I kept my head on straight is because of great people like yourself who reached back to make sure that I had my head on straight. And they kept me on the straight path. We're a teenager, right? So I had a lot of questions. And I think what I ended up doing is I got to a place where I just kind of like went headfirst into school and all the responsibilities that I had that I maybe didn't really enjoy being a teenager as much. So I would tell teenage Keiona, slow down and don't try to carry all of the weight of the world on your little teenage shoulders. I remember distinctly one day, a teacher who was like my class's teacher of the year, like she was our favorite teacher. I was like always the freaking class president, student government, all that foolishness. And she pulled me to the side one day and was like, Keiona, you need to slow down and stop trying to carry all the weight of the world on your shoulders. I looked at this lady like she was crazy. And everything just kind of bottled up, and I just started crying in front of Miss Picard. And I thank her for that moment because I was moving so fast, I didn't even know what was going on. Like, I think I was doing that to numb what was happening. Like, and I'm very much like that now. So, like, if I have a problem with something, what I'll do is just try to, like, do other things to disregard that it's even happening. And that's not good. that's not positive. And then what happens is you end up having that boil over moment. And that's what I experienced at 17. It's like I basically, like I started working when I was 15. I was always driving. I was driving since I was like 12. So I'm always like trying to take care of things. And
that's what we do in the country, y'all.
That's what we do in the country. That's that country life. That's right. So then, I lived next door to my great grandma, and I was I feel like I was like one of the people she could depend on to like do the labor stuff. So like, come cut the grass, come help me plant these flowers. And then on top of school, I was in honors and I was in leadership and I was a cheerleader for a little while. And it was like all those things that I just I enjoyed my childhood, but maybe I was just like taking on too many things. And I would tell myself, slow down, breathe, and just really enjoy what was happening. Like by the time I got to my senior year, I was like ready to go. Like I'm out. I got to get away from all y'all. And
see y'all later.
It really shouldn't have been like that, Like it should have been like, oh my God, like I'm scared to leave home. But I was, too grown, I guess. So,
right. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely.
That's a good one. Like I might need you to call them and tell them that. That's a good one. I feel the same way. I was burnt out. I was an adult. I was not, here for it. And I mean, there are perks in that because there's responsibility and stuff like that. But there's also, like I said, I think I might take myself to the trampoline park or something for my birthday because there's little things that, I just missed out on. And I think that's why I'm also very comfortable with, not having a significant other right now because I jumped into love and all of that stuff so early and so prematurely. And so, just belonging to someone else and just being, taking care of home and then knowing like I'm going to somebody's school and somebody's going to pay for it. So that was like a full-time job working and looking for scholarships and stuff like that. Very engaged in sports and organizations and church. And then I started working. And so I was just, living this crazy life. And I'm like, when did I, just sit down and just like enjoy it? Oh, I didn't. Right. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it's so crazy how we're like having so many overlaps right now. Like, whoa, this is cool. So we got to continue the conversation, and you're like blogging, so I got to get you to be like a guest blogger now. Like, I need that too.
Absolutely.
So we're working. Collaboration is the key, and so I'm just so excited that you took the time to do this interview. I mean, I cannot thank you enough. I'm so appreciative of your time and the nuggets that you dropped in this session. Like, there was some great stuff in there for people who are in that stage, and that's kind of who listens. So that was great. People who are in that stage of transition and in that stage of trying to perfect things that just aren't going to be perfect. So just jump, just do it, just move, just try it. Do it. Whatever it is, just try it. And if you fail, you learn. If you win, you learn. Either way, you learn. So, don't be afraid to do it. Do not be afraid to do it. So, one last time, I thank you. You guys, the new Geechee, link is going to be in the show notes so that you guys can subscribe and get on. It's a pretty awesome show, if I must say myself. I'm not saying that just because she's on here. I'm saying it because I mean it. I do not promote things that I don't believe in because just like Sierra, because if you look at it, like, I didn't know that you knew me before like a few months ago when we became friends on Facebook, and so the world is just so small. So you can't be out here just promoting things and doing things because you just never know who's watching. Like, you don't know.
True. That's true.
You have to think about your brand and what it is that you are putting into the atmosphere. But I definitely approve New Geechee. Not like it needs my approval because it's probably at like 1 million listens by now. But
I wish.
Definitely always pushing for it to get more. So thank you. And I hope you have a great one. Can't wait to continue watching your greatness.
Thank you. You too. And I absolutely and excited to maybe we'll do something else again in the future and all the great things that you're doing. Shout out to the She Thought She Could podcast.
Hey.
And all the great works that you are doing, young lady. Like, I'm extremely proud of all the things that you're doing. It's crazy because, like, we don't know each other, but I've been, like, watching you as your Facebook friend and your Instagram friend and all the work that you're doing. You took the kids to see Black Panther and you always at conferences, and I'm proud to know you socially.
Yes, my virtual friend. I might need to get on a plane to Arizona. Yes.
See, y'all don't listen to me. I told y'all that it was going to be good. She was going to drop some nuggets, some gems. You needed your sauce. You needed your pencil. I'm so excited that you took the time to catch on that conversation with Kiki and me. Since that conversation, Kiki's still in Arizona doing amazing things. She has stepped into a new space, thinking about kind of pivoting in career into like the marketing PR arena. This is something she was not even considering a year ago. So just the things that can happen in a year, but it still sticks to her core of not being afraid to try new things and not being afraid to jump. And when signs and signals are there, just paying attention, being aware. So I'm excited for her and the success that will have. It's already peaking some success, and she's just kind of launched it. So I know it's going to be great. I know it's going to be great. I'm watching from the Carolinas. She is entering year 29, and Kiki says she ready. She ready to see the 30s, okay? And so that's good when people are ready to just grow. They are so happy. They feel like there is nothing left here in this space. And I was just chatting with my really, really close friend, my sister girl, Raven, who happens to know Kiki from Clemson. Like, literally, Kiki was like her freshman mentor. So that was crazy how small the world is. But we were just talking about how, like, the 30s must be easier because these 20s have been in the trenches, but all good though. It's been a learning experience. I've had a whole lot of fun, spent a whole lot of money, made a whole lot of money, tried a lot of things, ate a lot of food, been a lot of places. So no regrets, but honey, there got to be something a little easier than this on the other side. LOL. But thank you for tuning in. Be sure to rate, review in the podcast. Be sure to find Kiki and Nugichi and get attached to all of that greatness and ignite your own. Think about the things that you want to put into the atmosphere and the legacy that you want to live and lead and leave. Whoa, tongue twister. The legacy that you want to live, lead, and leave. Ooh, yes, that one. That was a hard one to say, but I mean that. The legacy that you want to live, the one you want to lead, and the one you want to leave here on this earth after your time has ceased. Think about that, manifest in that, and be great until we meet again. Have a good one.